Yeah.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It's 6 p.m. on May 19th, 2025. It's time to call the city council meeting to order. Ms. Jones, roll call, please.
Mr. Austin?
Present.
Mr. Shuck?
Here.
Ms. McGinnis? Ms. Nally?
Here.
Ms. Price?
Here.
Mr. Prine?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Brian Reese.
Invite you to join me in prayer. Our Father, we come to you tonight, and we thank you for the privilege of being here in City Hall. I pray for all the items on the agenda tonight. First of all, thank you for those who just have invested in the beautification of our city and its structures, and just the honor they're going to get tonight for their investment, and they're just not just in the structures, but just their lives here. And I pray that you would be with all the other items on the agenda, just the different things that need to be dealt with just to keep our city chugging along and a great place to live and play for a lifetime. And Lord, we pray that you just bless tonight our city council members, help them to have wisdom and discernment to make the decisions that are best for our city. It's in your name we pray. Amen. I invite you to stand with me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. Okay, tonight we have kind of a busy agenda, a little bit. In the announcements and public comment part, we have right off the bat, pretty exciting thing for the city of Franklin every year, the presentations of the Franklin Heritage Annual Preservation Awards by Franklin Heritage Glenn Ferris. And this is, I don't know how many, maybe Glenn, you can tell us here in a minute how many years you guys have been doing this, but it's pretty awesome, and it keeps people involved in our community of taking care of their businesses and homes and doing a lot of good stuff. And you guys do all the work, and I get to be in the pictures, and you did it all. So I appreciate that. So Glenn, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for letting us do this every year. This is our 26th year of doing Preservation Week awards. Preservation Week is a national month in May where the whole country celebrates the beautification and use of old buildings. So our very first award, we have 9 real quick ones. I'll give this opportunity if you guys don't want to be in the picture to move out. Otherwise, you're going to be in it. Our first award is the Restorer of Old Franklin Award. And this year we have 2 great people who are receiving this. Mike and Connie Hill are going to be our restorers of Old Franklin this year. This award goes to people who have put in a lot of work on different historic properties. And since Mike and Connie have been involved with our organization since 2012 they've been instrumental in repairing and restoring the art craft, 49 East Madison Street, 48 East Madison Street, 350 East Madison Street, and then several other properties across town. So it's our delight to give them this award of Restores Old Town Franklin. So you guys want to come up and take a picture, and then
Hey, Sean, stay there.
I will wait for Tara. And then Rob will move on.
Yeah, we apologize, we have to leave, my grandson is graduating. I'll have to get to the ceremony.
Next up is the best new addition to a historic structure. And Will and Regina Marby, come on up. This was pretty amazing because these guys went and said, yes, we'll be on the home tour. And there was just construction every which way. And they said, yeah, we'll be on it. People don't get it. Thank you for being good sports. All right, the best continued use of a historic structure is Church on Jeff on 201 East Jefferson Street. They are not here tonight. I got married in that church. We have more stories than that. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think they went over to Iowa, so that's. And then the natural beauty, this is one that's got its original windows and doors and all of that. And we watched these guys, we were working on 250 North Water Street, the house that had been abandoned kind of. And we've been working on it and we saw them all the time across the street. And they always said, one of these days, we're gonna put a porch back on here. Here's a photo of what it used to look like. And come on up here. They did it. They got a porch on it. So this is. Nicely done. Actually, I said natural beauty. Now, next up is the Lil Charmer, and that is Nancy Fleshwood. Where is she? Right here. So you've gotten a lot of work done on your house. And every time I saw it, when I first came to Franklin, I looked at that house and I went, there should be a lake behind it. It seems like a lake property. That'll, yeah, so, yeah, nicely done. And this is a special one, and I'm gonna have Glenn come up here and do this because Glenn has been working on all of these National Register nominations. He's doing all of the background work on it. He's ahead of all of the other cities, and doing all of this kind of stuff, so.
For those who don't know, Franklin College has recently been added to the National Register of Historic Places, which if you have looked at those applications, they take about 100 plus hours of just paperwork plus research. So it's a major accomplishment to get on this National Register of Historic Places. And it comes with lots of prestige and also opportunities for tax credits and work to restore buildings. So I'd like to bring up Franklin College for their recent addition to the National Register. If you haven't looked at the campus or haven't been on in a while, they have a whole section on their website all about the National Register where you can go through and explore and look at pictures and information. So if you haven't, you should go do that. So.
All right, that wraps it up. Again, keep it going, take it on.
I am asked many times what makes Franklin Franklin, and I think these awards and stuff like this just demonstrated why Franklin is Franklin. So again, great job. Keep it up. Thank you. Okay, is there any other announcements or public comments that does not have anything to do with the agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda from the meeting minutes from May 5th, 2025 City Council meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Move to read old business by title only.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to read by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item number 1, under old business, approval of budgetary ordinance 25-08 to appropriate $10,000 for the Creative Convergence Grant. Clerk Treasurer Jan Jones.
This was introduced last meeting. This is just asking permission to spend the money from the grant, the $10,000.
Okay, we will open this up for a public hearing. Is there any questions from the public? Or we will, seeing nobody move, we'll close public hearing for the public. Is there any questions from the council? Hearing none, we're ready to,
Move to approve.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next item, it's also going to be a public hearing, approval of budgetary ordinance 25-09 to appropriate all funding for the community crossings grants. Part 1, $2,282,538.64. Clerk Treasurer Jan Jones.
Yep, this is the same as the last one, pretty much, just a little bit more money. We've gotten our part, or the state and then federal, in asking permission to spend.
Okay, so again, we'll open this up to public hearing. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any questions from the council? Ready for action.
Motion to approve, 2509.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next item's new business.
Move to read new business by title only.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to read all new business title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item number 1, the yearly tax abatement compliance reports for approval. Community Development Specialist Dana Monson.
Good evening. So these are the final 3 CF1 compliance reports that we have for the city. So this is the last of them. They will all be completed. Yay. The first 2 I will read into the record. C 2025-13 G&H Wire and C 2025-37 PRJ Properties Ortho America. These were both passed, recommended approval by the Economic Development Commission, who heard these at their meeting last Tuesday. These were unanimously recommended for approval. The third one is C 2025-38 Ortho America Holdings. This one was found to be in compliance by a 3-to-1 vote. This was not this was not a unanimous approval, so I did want to kind of point out that there was a little bit of difference with that. Mr. Taylor is your representative, so sir, I don't know if you have anything you want to say about these 3.
So the first 2 were approved unanimously. The first 2 had, plans in place to go forward, get the personal property, get the real property, and, had plans for hiring people. So we went ahead and approved those. And then the last one, I'm the one that voted no against it on the real property because they've got about $1.8 million that they do not have any plans to.
Sir, that's personal.
Oh, sorry, and personal property that they do not have any plans to build at this time. So I didn't think it was appropriate to go ahead and go forward with the tax payment with them still having $1.8 million and no plan in place.
Fair enough.
Is that usually unanimous? Sean?
It's usually unanimous with those, but it's just one of those that, and I talked to some of the other members kind of afterwards, and, they understood where I was coming from. But I basically told them during that meeting that, I couldn't bring it in good faith to you guys, knowing that, they're getting a tax abatement on work that's not being done.
So no future plans?
No future
Nothing.
plans
Okay.
on the $1.8 million. So I said, I was fine with because they did have plans for employment coming in, and they had, places, things, and they were doing some things in-house and, investing in-house and things, but just nothing as far as build out.
So as far as that personal goes, they will only get an abatement on the amount that they have invested. So it's not like they are getting above that amount. I do just want to make sure that we've clarified that, but you're correct. They said they did not have any plans to proceed. with what they had told us they would do on the SB1.
So let's make sure everybody's clear.
Yes, please.
Yes, it is not, it's not the G&H wire.
No, this is Ortho America.
Right.
G&H
Right.
Wire is fine, and the PRJ Properties, which is the real property owner of Ortho America, is fine. The only one that had kind of a split vote was the personal property on Ortho America.
Okay, so just so we don't get confused, I think we should vote separately on the GH wire, and it seems like everybody may be in agreements on that one, Sean?
Yes.
So why don't we take that one first and then go to the other one?
Sure.
Because there might be a little bit of discrepancy there.
Sure, absolutely.
So I think what I'm saying there is we probably need a motion to approve C 2025-13. Is that correct?
Yes, and C 2025-37, both of those were
Okay.
unanimous.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve C 2025-13 GH Wire and C 2025-37.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none. Now we will go on to the next one, and it looks like it's the 2025-38 Ortho America Holdings.
Correct. This was their personal property. So this was the one, it did pass, as I said, 3-1. Mr. Taylor did have concerns, which he expressed very clearly
So
here.
how about the real property?
The real property with PRJ Properties, they are below in that as well. They have done, they estimated they would do 1.8 million. They have done 491,000 so far, but they did talk about, they were continuing to do some work. They renovated that barn that sits out there. This is on Earlywood Drive, to be clear, so that we make sure everybody knows, kind of on the corner of Graham and Earlywood Drive. They had done some of that work, and they were continuing to do that. And as they were adding people and bringing some other folks in-house, they did kind of have a plan to continue to grow with that. It was the personal property that they said they had done some automation, and what they're really looking at now and adding. They have 75 employees now. They had committed to 100 on their, well, they had estimated 100 on their CF, or on their SB1. I'm getting all my acronyms mixed up. And they did say that that other 25, they were anticipating hiring those, but they were going to be more in the sales department, more different skills than what they had originally planned. So it's not so much, they're not so much doing the work of making the orthodontics. A lot of that is becoming much more automated, so they don't need as many people. So they're actually able to have more folks out in their sales department and working remotely and different things like that. Although they did say the last 25 that they were hoping to hire would be fully staffed here. They do have an additional 68, if I remember off the top of my head, that are remote workers. This would be 25 additional employees that would be here, and they would primarily be salespeople working with, in conjunction with those that are remote.
Okay, so I want to back up again, just.
I know.
So I think the confusion that I have is, it's been approved for the real property, correct?
Correct.
Don't we have to do that here, or we've already done that?
We've
here?
already done that.
When did we do that one? The last meeting or so?
No, that's what this, the first one is, the PRJ Properties. PRJ Properties is the owner of the building, and Ortho America is the company
Okay.
that is within it. And that's why it's different, because the taxpayer for the building is PRJ Properties.
Okay, and Dane, I guess just to clarify that, why
Oh, no, I
I've
understand.
gotten confused on that?
Sure.
There's only one number, and if there's two different abatements, I was
Well,
just.
the one abatement is 2134, and the other abatement is 2136. Resolution 34 was real, and 36 was personal.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I was in favor of the real and the personal was the difference.
Okay.
Because they were looking to do, moving forward, they were looking to add, they had plans in place. They were, going to automate more, so they didn't need as many employees, but then they were going to be continuing to add and bring people in from the outside. And so they had plans in place, and these were going to be even higher paying jobs going forward with the sales and being middle management, not, just entry-level jobs. So that's what, during the meeting, we had to kind of differentiate that a little bit as well.
So the first two we've already taken care of. The 2025-13 and the 2025-37 we've already taken care of, just
Yeah.
did. Do you have representatives from Ortho America here?
Devin McSorley is here. Yes, Devin?
Hello, how are you guys doing?
Good, thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about your tax abatement and why you guys are faltering, so to speak?
Sure, yeah. So initially, the abatement was procured in November of 2021, I believe.
It's been a long time.
Yes, and then the project started in roughly 2022. And I do want to emphasize it was anticipated to be completed by the end of this year. So they still technically have some time. With that, initially when we procured the project, there was an acquisition that they were considering. The acquisition initially fell through, thus that kind of explains further the real property investments lacking. With that, equipment investments kind of followed through, and then jobs as well. With that, though, Ortho America does have plans to continue to invest in equipment and continue in hiring those jobs, just as you guys were discussing the mid-level management roles. With that, they do anticipate on meeting the personal property investments. They may need additional time, but they do have plans to do so.
Okay. So, Sean, I respect the fact that you stood up and said something. I appreciate that. I was on EDC for a long time, so I appreciate that. It seems to me that you guys have been in non-compliance or substantial compliance for 2 straight years, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Just want to make that clear as well. John, do you got anything else to add?
No, and I'm fine with it moving forward. It's just, I just wanted to make sure that it was brought out, and at the end of the day, everybody here knew exactly what was going on and where, if it were to come back through again next year, now we know, we kind of have a plan in place.
Okay.
So I just want to add too, if you remember last year, that whole summer, that intersection was shut down for the roundabout. And I do know that once we got through the roundabout, you folks you repaved your parking lot, you painted your building and done a lot of upgrades right after that roundabout got finished. So I do appreciate that. Sean, I do agree with you somewhat on what you say, and putting it to next year, being on notice, I think, would be the main thing here, is that we got constituents that are wondering, why is our taxes so high, and why are we giving tax abatements? And that's why we're doing a good, thorough job of trying to make sure everybody complies with everything that's being said. And you guys have done a great job. Don't think we don't appreciate you, because we do. I'm sure everyone up here appreciates that we're probably one of the highest orthodontic cities in Indiana. So I appreciate that with the 2 different companies. So, but that's up to this board. I just want to get my 2 cents worth in about the construction that was going on, and that you did fix your building up afterwards. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to reiterate what Dana said, they are only getting an abatement on what they've done. They're not getting an abatement on that 1.8, but they did, that was part of the original, when they, when they originally filed. Yeah, so they're not getting anything that they're not, haven't
It
already done.
looked like they had, what, 491,000 invested?
For the real property.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that said, I'll throw it out there. I make a motion to approve
I'll second.
the, was it 2025-13?
38.
Oh, excuse me, 2025-38, as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Just know you're on notice.
Thank you.
thank you.
Sean, is that fair? All right, thank you.
Okay, next item, where am I at here? 2025 Economic Development Fees Grant Award, Community Development Specialist, Dana Monson.
Yes. So every year, as you know, the city does receive economic development fees from those companies that choose to volunteer to be a part of this program. It is 2% of the real property tax savings that they saved that year, or 5% of the personal property tax savings that they received for that year. So for 2024 pay 2025 taxes, we are receiving $107,679.08, which is the most that we have ever received from these fees. Again, these are companies that are voluntarily doing this to support the community. These fees, by state statute, we are able to then take and grant to nonprofits working in the area of economic development. They specifically have some type of economic development connection in their mission, and they also are working within the city limits of Franklin. These dollars cannot be taken outside of the city limits of Franklin to spend. So it does kind of limit us a little bit in the number of nonprofits that we're able to offer this opportunity to. So we do send those out. We send out letters every year letting them know that this is available. This year we had 3 nonprofits who have submitted applications on for these grants, for this grant. They are pull that up here. I don't know why that said that in the wrong way. We sent to Discover Downtown Franklin, the Franklin Chamber of Commerce Foundation, the Franklin Development Corporation, Franklin Heritage, Festival Country, and Aspire Johnson County. So those are the nonprofits that are working in the area. Of that, we had 3 that applied. We have the Franklin Chamber Foundation, which applied for $25,000 for the Small Business Capacity Building Grants. The Chamber has done this for 2 years now. They did smaller grants and then an amount of $2,500 per grant to small micro businesses. This year, I think they're choosing to do $5,000 to probably be a little bit less than that, obviously, to 5 companies, kind of give a little bit stronger impact into that. Rosie Chambers is here representing the Franklin Chamber Foundation. The second grant that we had, or second application that we had, was for Franklin Heritage. They applied for $25,000 for a first and second quarter live music concert series to be held at the Art Craft Theater. This would be held kind of in the wintertime when there's not concerts and activities going on down at the amphitheater. It would be held during the week. It would be kind of a slower time. And we've seen from the number of people that come for the author event series and the author activities and things that the library has put on and that Woggy's Book has put on, they bring in hundreds and hundreds of people on a Monday night to go eat Greek pizza and have a glass of wine and listen to these. So they feel like this is going to be a really cool, nice way to kind of take care of some of that slack during the off season. Rob Schultz is here with Franklin Heritage. And the third grant that we received was for Discover Downtown Franklin. They applied for $57,000 for a major marketing campaign for the downtown. So that includes things like billboards specific to supporting the downtown, doing some traditional ads, doing social media ads, getting some professional photos that are going to really make our area look really good, and really having that point to regionally promote our city, promote our downtown, help to promote our businesses. As I'm sure you guys are all aware, we kind of have a little bit of wobble right now with our economy. There's some hesitations, ups and downs, different concerns. So they really felt like this is something that would be very beneficial and important for them to do. Danny Causey is here representing that group. So if you have any questions of any of those 3, they can come up, tell you a little bit about what they're doing. Otherwise, the recommendation from the EDC was to grant $25,000 to the Franklin Chamber Foundation, $25,000 to FHI, and $57,679.08 to Discover Downtown Franklin. Yes, I'm concerned about that 8 cents. We've got to make sure we get that in there. So I'm happy to have any one of these 3 come up if you have any questions about their program or anything else. Again, Mr. Taylor was there when this was discussed quite a bit at our EDC meeting.
Yeah, all three are great programs, and they're looking to spend the money back into Franklin and bring people back to Franklin, and how can they make our life better and our city better. So they're all great causes. So hopefully, looking forward to seeing what they do. And I like the idea of the chamber switching it up, going to 5 businesses and with $5,000. I like that idea. I think it can really make an impact on some small businesses in the area.
Is that a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion before we vote?
Oh, sir.
Hearing none, we have a motion to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you to the 3 groups that work hard in our community. Thank you.
And congratulations.
Yep. Next item, request waiver of noncompliance for Form 322 Tax Abatement Community Development Specialist Dana Monson.
Yeah, I'm still here. Hi.
We were busy.
This is a request from Pure Development for a waiver of noncompliance for their building that is located at 2280 McLean Drive. I gave you a detailed memo, kind of going through what this was all about. Very high level for those in attendance tonight, just to kind of understand what this is all about. When you receive an abatement from the city of Franklin, or really from any place in the state of Indiana, the process follows you submit your application, you submit the SB1, you get that approved. I then submit the SB1 to the county. Then the project is done, whether it's building a new building or purchasing equipment. If it's building a new building, as in this case it was, you receive a Form 11. All of you have probably received a Form 11 this year because all of us had an increase in our assessed value. And that's what that Form 11 says, is you have now received an increase in your assessed value. This is what your new assessment is. When you have an abatement and you receive that, the next step is that the company is then required to file a Form 322 with the county that essentially says, yep, we see it, we know that we have the assessed value, we're ready for the abatement to start, and that triggers that start of the abatement. Peterson Group is the group that they actually built this building. As they were building the building, they sold it to Pure Development back in 2022. Pure, at that time, it was when the sale of the building was coming along, they were doing these things, they received their first Form 11. They did not get their Form 322 filed. It was caught early in the year. They came to the EDC, requested a waiver of noncompliance because otherwise that would not have started. The deadline had passed. You have to have this Form 322 filed with the county. If the county doesn't get it, they will not put the abatement on. So that's what we did last year. We were able to do that, to give that to them then. This year, they received a second Form 322. The reason was that that building, it took 2 years to build the building. So the first year it was assessed for at least 50% completion. Then you had, that was for 2023. 2024, you had the rest of the building completion, so there was a second increase in assessed value. So there was a requirement, the Form 11 was sent out, there was a requirement for a Form 322. Once again, the company did not file that Form 322. They explained to us, or stated to us, that the reason why was because they did not receive the Form 11, did not know that it was due. They did not contact me to let me know that they didn't understand why. They basically found out when they got their tax bill, opened it up and went, oh, we owe a lot of money. Assuming that the whole thing was going to be covered under the abatement. It was not. We've worked together, came up with that reasoning to understand why. So basically they needed to file that. This second time was a little bit different. This is the second year in a row. This was also filed 2 weeks before taxes were due, and obviously taxes have already been due and required to be paid. So by the time it came to this body, if we choose to do a waiver of compliance, which is completely your decision, then they would receive a credit for what they have already paid. If that amount is more than what is owed for the fall installment, which it probably will be, they get a further credit into next year. So it affects not only this year's budget, it affects next year's budget as well. So it's a little complicated. It's a little bit different than what they did before. They do have a company representative here, Jesse Sadaway. Jesse, I don't know if you want to come up and say anything, or.
Sure. Sure. Well, thanks for the time. Just to say that what happened was the mail for the 322, or whatever the form is where you get a new assessment. We were in the midst of a move. We would have seen it before, would have grabbed it. Do apologize. We have invested over $40 million into Franklin. Understand that we've done what we said we would do. We've leased half the building. We have another tenant that we're working with right now. I know abatements are a tough topic with the public, but it makes it critical to leasing up a building and bringing in new jobs to the city. Pure Development works very closely with the state and with the state IEDC. We're the master developers for LEAP. We've worked closely with Meta and bringing big projects into the state. This is a paperwork error. I take responsibility for it. We made a mistake. We paid our first installment in full. I made sure that was done. And that's really it. There's nothing other than we were in the midst of a move and it got moved, And shame on us for not completely understanding the process. I mean, that is true. We didn't completely understand it. We filled out the one form that we needed to give to Dana. We didn't fill out the second form.
But if you're building for LEAP and all the other companies around the
Why
state of
didn't we know?
Indiana, then why wouldn't you know?
Fair question, Mr. Councilman. We didn't know. We don't typically do abatements. The way we do, we run all the infrastructure for LEAP. So we're not typically doing the abatements. A lot of the work we do are build-to-suits, and the tenant has already received the abatement and they're handling it. Spec development is a fairly new business for us. This is our first spec development building in Indiana.
Interesting.
So we really didn't have the experience. That's not an excuse. I mean, we missed it. We missed the deadline. I apologize for that. I own that. That's on me. So that is what it is. We paid the first installment, and unless you guys have additional questions.
Sir,
Yeah.
everyone makes mistakes, but I'm assuming you have a plan to put that on your calendar for next year.
We have more than a plan. We're going to be calling Dana actively. We're going to be looking at the websites. We'll reach out to the county to check for that, assessment as soon as possible to make sure that we follow the 322. Because we did ask the IEDC to help us out with a second abatement, or a third abatement actually, and a little bit of additional capital that we need to put in. So we've got to watch that also. So that's out there as well. And I'm fully aware of that one as well.
So I'm looking at the auditor's office. The approved amount of the abatement is $26,663,000.
That's the total that the building was assessed for.
Right.
And that includes both tracks. So basically,
I understand.
think of it as two tracks.
I understand.
Can I make a comment there? So, and I was thinking of this, thanks for bringing that up, Kenny. You said you've invested, I think, $40 million in that property, correct?
Correct.
Okay, the thought that runs through my head about that is the big businesses, and this is why the box stores or the logistics buildings or whatever, they spend $40 million on those, and then they get assessed for $20 million, and that's what they're taxed on. Somebody goes and buys a building right downtown for $300,000. They pay $300,000. They pay taxes on that $300,000. So I think that goes back into our tax system that we keep hearing about how that we're not getting any breaks. I'm all about helping business. You know that.
Right.
But it just amazes me how you don't get taxed on your full investment, but you go buy a house or build a house, you pay taxes on that. That's just a comment, has
Yeah.
nothing to do with you, and we're going down a rabbit hole there.
Totally understand, and the 40 million might be our full budget after we invest all the TI dollars for all the tenants as well. So I can't say today that we've written a check for that amount, but it's a fairly large amount.
Well, I've seen this all over the county. They build these buildings with all this value, and it never gets taxed for what's spent on it. But that's life, I guess. That's what it is.
Yep.
Mr. Taylor,
in
can you?
in our discussions with it, this is the second time that this has happened. So this isn't the first time this happened. Again, last year, and Dana bends over backwards to help the community, help the businesses. Actually, she doesn't have to do any of it. She bends over backwards to help them get things in place. And we did give them a waiver last year. They still will have a tax abatement in place. This is just year one. So they'll start, instead of getting that year one, they'll start on year two. They had to pay year one. So that was.
Second track.
Yep, on the second track. So we felt and we kind of gave them the, slap on the wrist last year, gave them that speech and let that one pass, kind of like we just did. So we felt it was time that we needed to deny this one, and then next year, I'm sure they'll have it in on time.
The recommendation was unanimous to deny this year, but they did file the 322, so as long as they complete their CF1 compliance form on time next year, they can pick this up in year two. This does not affect the year one. The big concern with us is the fact that since they've already paid this, the county has to go back, recalculate what that amount is, and again, should they owe more, or should they have paid more than they would owe, it goes into affecting our TIF next year. We still have to put that in as though we're getting those dollars. We're not going to get those dollars. It's going to put a shortfall into the TIF. Normally, these things are caught much earlier. They go out every June, and the county always does let me know. And they say, hey, Form 11s. I always send emails. Again, as Mr. Taylor said, it's not something that the city is required to do. I really try to help companies, and I try to be as helpful as possible. I know the big joke, I'm from the government, I'm here to help, but I really do try to help. So I did send an email. I never got a bounce back. I never heard anything back. The person that I was in contact with at the time had evidently left the company, and I'm not sure their email was impounded. I don't know, must have been something going on. So I never knew that they did not receive it. At that point, once I've emailed, once the county sent this letter, there's only so much that I can do. Normally, when these things happen, if you will recall, we had this issue 2 years ago with Legacy investing. We can catch this during the summer before any of the taxes are calculated. This time, it was not counted until all the taxes have been calculated. That's been included in our budget amounts. Everything is done. So that was kind of also played a lot into the factor, was just the timing of this is really late to be saying, oh, wait.
It's not our council's position to traditionally, deny these tax abatements. I don't know if have we, Mayor?
We had the very same.
It's been one or two.
We had the very same incident a couple other times.
Right.
That was
It's not our
denied.
practice, though, is my point.
It's not a practice, but we have. There's been at least 2 other companies that I can think of that came this late and asked for it, and the council's decision was to deny at that time.
All right, thank you.
So there is a precedence that
Thank
is
you.
in the past.
Yeah, I'm going to make a motion is it 2025-03, Dana? Is that the right one?
So it will
On
be the
case-
denial.
Yes, denial of the waiver for Pure Development in their tax abatement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll go on to the next item. Pure Development Tax Abatement Request, Community Development Specialist Dana Monson.
Me again, hi. Yes, so this is EDC 2025-03. As Jesse just told you, they are working with the other company on this same building, so this abatement does directly relate to 2280 McLean Drive. This is for the northern portion. If you will recall, we mentioned earlier that the southern third of that building had been leased to Ryder Logistics. They are moved in, and they are now in that southern portion, the southern third. So this is for the 2/3. They have a company that they are working with, and they are very interested in them. They were concerned about build-out for the office space. So they have come before us tonight they requested a 5-year abatement for $558,289, or $558,289 for the build-out of the office spaces in that building. The recommendation from the staff was for a 3-year. The EDC did concur. They did also agree to the EDC fees. So this would be, the recommendation is for a 3-year abatement with a 5% EDC fee as part of this. It is already in an ERA, an economic revitalization area, so we don't have to do any of that. So this can be voted on tonight. There was also no need for a public hearing, although I know, Mayor, you do try to do that with your people who are here. So that's very much appreciated. Again, Jesse can give you some further details onto the project if you would like. This also does not have any jobs attached to it because, again, this is spec. They do not have a firm commitment from this company. They're just doing this to kind of be proactive and alleviate some of the question about what's the final cost on things going to be and things like that, so that they can work in the lease rates and things along those lines. So Mr. Sadway is here if you want to ask him any questions about the project.
So we'll open it up for a public hearing if there's any questions about the new tax abatement that's being requested. Hearing none, we will close the public hearing and open it up to the council.
I say they are a good business here for us in Franklin, and we decided, they asked for a 5 and a 5. We said 3, just because that's kind of been in line with what we're doing with the amount of money that's being spent with the last 4 or 5 tax abatements that have come before us in that $500,000 range. We've put them at 3 and 3, and I think we want to kind of stick to that standard with the money being spent.
Thanks, Mr. Young, appreciate it.
Did you have any questions for Mr. Sadway?
Any questions?
Sir, yeah, could you give just a brief overview?
Sure. So what we're building is a spec office out, and
Yep.
the reason it's important in a spec building is it just allows the building to show better, and it also allows you to get tenancy faster.
Sure.
a lot of tenants need, like immediate access, and we want to be able to do that and show it properly. As you guys might be aware, Mount Comfort's got a ton of availability of these types of buildings, so that's who we're kind of in a wrestling match to bring jobs here versus there. So to have this and to be ready to go is the reason we're making that additional investment, and writing that check and putting it in the building, so we're ready to lease as soon as possible.
Thank you. Sean, we've done that before with other companies as well.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay, we're ready for a motion.
So moved, as presented.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none.
Thank you, sir.
we will-
I am sitting down.
There isn't any other business, so we'll go into the council member comments. Josh, gonna start with you, put you on the spot.
No comments tonight.
Okay, Ken,
No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
Sean?
Just, I know there's not too many grads in here, but good luck with the graduation this weekend. You got to speak.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
And good luck to that, and everybody enjoy the race weekend.
Todd?
I had the opportunity to visit the Adult Active Center today, in preparation for my stay there one day. And it was outstanding. Work is great. Just really pleased that it's an additional building here in the city, and I'm sure it'll be used over and over again. So, nice work.
Irene?
No, nothing for me tonight.
Jennifer?
I'll just give an update. Todd can chime in. We had an opioid task force meeting last week, just to get geared up for this next round. Just to recap, last year we gave our first round of grants through that fund, the opioid joint fund for the county. And now we're June 1st, I think is the applications, or the applications will be opened up, and then we'll have a meeting July 13th, I think, so to hear the presentation. So money is being spent, and we're working on that, so.
Thank you
We
guys.
anticipate more people now that they know that it's available.
Well, thank you guys for doing that.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Levi?
The pickleball light should be done this week, and then the ribbon cutting will be either next week or the week after that. And then the mural for the generator should be done or approved at the next Board of Works meeting.
Okay, thank you, Levi. Chan, do you got anything? I do not. Tara, do you have anything?
So Mayor, before you close, I do want to add that me and Sean and Ms. McGinnis had met with Crossroad Engineering and your staff concerning Scott Park and the renovation at Scott Park. So that's an ongoing project. Want to let the other council members know that we've met, and that's starting to move forward.
Good.
Thank you.
Just an overview.
All right, thank you, Ken. Yes.
Do we have any guests? Where are these guys? Are they?
Do you want to introduce our Mayor's Youth Council representation?
Okay, yeah, we've got Abe, you can raise your hand, I guess, Karsten and Brooks, and they're all from FMLC, Franklin Mayor's Youth Leadership Council.
Well, thank you guys for coming. We appreciate it. So. All right. Anybody else? I don't have anything to add. Thank you guys. You do a great job. I appreciate our city council and all the work that you're doing. So need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.